leg.
She was awesome. Happy Thanksgiving, guys, or soon to be. Bison, you starting us off?
Yeah, Coach. So how was the collective self-scout for you over the bye week, the offensive, defensively, and on special teams?
Excellent. I think the key for us, like I like to do, Led, is to get away separately, look at it on your own, be able to come up with some evaluations, let the coaches be able to look at their areas, and then be able to look outside their area. So when you come back, you can have some of those conversations that you want to have, or even over the phone conversations or Zooms nowadays, all the stuff you can do. But that was really nice to be able to come back and talk about those things as far as, things you can do, things you did well, things you could do better, and how do you make some of those improvements moving forward. And you did some really, so we kind of had two buys, right? You talk about the Thursday game. 1 through 5, you had some things that you wanted to correct, you seen that you liked. And then you see what happened, and then the next 6, it was like some things got better. You got better in the run game on defense, right? Still then was able to improve the pass rush. So what can we do different in this next ending phase of what we want to call football and how we want to end that thing in order to get better? Because in order to get to where you want to go, ultimately, you want to be able to improve those things. So that was a small sample size of what you did on defense. Obviously on offense, you watched the steady improvement from 1 through 5. You watched it actually get better in the next 6. And then how do you finalize and finish some of the drives where you missed out on because of penalties, self-inflicted wounds, and that's the lack of control, the lack of discipline, things that we talk about that you can clean up, not getting a hold in the red zone that keeps you off the 1, not jumping off sides that when you get a catch and that puts you on the 1-yard line. And I think those are the things that's kind of stopped us from reaching the point where you want to be at all costs. But at the end of the day, you got to come back and realize you want to be relevant at this time of year. And when you're improving these things with the growth mindset of getting better throughout the process, you find yourself in the position to go out there and battle and to be intrigued with those things every single week. On special teams, man, it constantly shows up. When we go out and make plays on special teams, we win football games, right? You block a punt, tip it, muff it, you make field goals to end the game, you go out there and tackle the returner, you stop people from getting fakes on you, you win the game. And we've done that over the years we've done it over this year where we've gone out there and made plays that have been significant impacts on our game, and we got to find ways to do that in special teams as well. And I think where we all want to go in this room and what everybody wants to do, the people that are relevant right now are talking about is how do you get over the edge to find a way to get in those positions to find yourself in championship football. Long answer for a lot of work in self-scout.
Right. So how do you fix the penalties and the self-inflicted issues on offense?
First, you got to identify it, which is the things you got to do when they get back, right? When you're talking about getting into the red zone and really being conscious of it, right? If you increase the unconsciousness of it, the guys will go out there and absolutely be able to recognize those moments when they come up and not get the unnecessary holding calls, right? Some of it's technique stuff, getting out too early, getting too fast, timing, things of that nature, eliminate some of the excitement. The discipline that's required in order not to get penalties is another part that's really important to it. The thing that we haven't had is the lack of control, which I'm really excited about. The last time I think we had one of those penalties was, well, I guess we had one last game on special teams when you pull the guy off the pile, but it's not the same as when you hit somebody in the face when there's a lack of control and you get that type of penalty. So we really haven't had those. But if we can find a ways to control those first two, the discipline and the concentration effort that it requires to score touchdowns and go out there and not hurt yourself, we can be a really good offense. And we have been, and we can be so much better. And we got so much left out there that we can't wait to go and attack the second half or whatever you want to call this part of the season. The end.
Did you consider the bye kind of good timing in a way? Because I know some coaches want to just get right back and let's just get right back into the games and practice.
Hard to say because they come, they always come at different times of the year. I think that's something that the NFL does a great job of always finding ways to, stop the bye. Perfect time it would have been 2 weeks ago, right? And then, get all those things. But there's never perfect time. Everybody's going through something. There's always ways to management. That's where the genius of, keeping you guys as healthy as possible, and the healthiest team usually is the better team. So, the bye is the bye. I didn't really think about it like that because it just pops up different spots every single year, right? I can't request that bye.
Fair. You mentioned the offense, and you guys have shown flashes of being a pretty darn good offense, but then
no doubt.
Couple weeks, no touchdown passes for Kirk. I mean, how do you kind of rewrite the ship, so to speak?
Yeah, to me, that just kind of explained about it. The self-inflicted wounds for the offense is what's killed us, right? You look at yardage, it's like there's no way you look at the yardage that we were able to gain on the Saints and whoever we play in any loss and say that these guys clearly lost that game. That's not the case. I know stats are for losers, but in that case, that's not what it is, right? At the end of the day, sorry about that, Terry. At the end of the day, it's all about like, how do you close out those drives to get the points to allow your defense to play with those leads, and then there's some decision-making stuff in that too. You don't always put it on the players, right? Raheem, take the ball last game. Maybe you score first and the whole result is different, right? Who knows? But it's just all of those things that go into play of really pointing the finger at myself first, some of the decisions that I can help on, some of the things I can help those guys with, and then allowing those guys to be able to fix some of their problems and then collaborating together and going out there and doing it, right? It's no more fun than bouncing around offices today or just throughout the week of calling people randomly on the phone to be able to talk about football and discuss some of the things we want to do in the manner that we're doing it, right? I've been in the situations where you're talking about whole other conversations, and that's no fun. This, guys, is fun, right? Hey, how do we improve ourselves to get ourselves in better position to finish this thing off, what we started, to keep ourselves going right where we're going and keep looking forward and not backwards.
You do anything with the family during the bye?
Definitely got to do stuff with the family, man. You got to get away. You got to be to see the family. You got to be around the family. I got a chance to take a quick trip, and then I came back from the quick trip, and then I had basically the Olympics at my house with my children. Where you play basketball, football, pickleball, whatever ball you got, you play, and you find ways to dominate your kids. I needed a win.
Is it hard to? Because I'm sure that the last two games are on your mind, right? Is it hard to kind of take that away and be, a human being, or are you still kind of like Dad, the football coach, for part of that week?
No, I can't say it's not hard. It's not as hard for me.
Okay.
Because I'm really confident in what we put into it, and I'm really confident in what the guys here and the guys that work for us and everybody in this building puts into what we want to get done. And I'm really confident in our ownership. I'm confident in our personnel. I'm confident in our coaching staff. I'm confident in our players. So it's really hard for me to, woe is me, the bye week when it went into fashion just because of the loss of over-exaggerating that. It's hard. It's harder on us when you walk around, but then it gets really easy when you see fans and they show the appreciation that they've shown just when you get a chance to pass them in passing and to talk about the energy and the effort and how fun it is to go to the Falcons games again right now. And how do you keep that going? And that invigorates you to find different ways and different passion to go out there and want to watch more, right? So you find times where you should be sleeping on a bye week at times doing work and just kind of looking at it, putting stuff in stuff popping in your head just when you sleep, when you do everything. Even playing with the kids, you get things, different ideas, right? And it is what it is. But we forget sometimes that this is a game and we love it and it's really enjoyable when it's going your way. And we also forget sometimes not to pout when it's not. Mm-hmm. And that's a big lesson I got from my son Jalen this week. When he won in pickleball, he was happy. When he did not, he was pouting. And I'm not going to let him do that.
What did you say to him?
No, just deal with what happens in the results of the game, son. Just because you lost to a grown man and you're only 6. Tough luck.
You guys have run a really low rate of play action this year. Is that?
That's part of our self-scout. I hate to cut you off, Josh, but I just got finished talking about this and something we want to increase, something we want to do better, and something we make part of our game, more important, more a part of our game. Not to steal our plans and things of that nature, but it's definitely something that's valid that we haven't run a bunch of our play action. It's really something that Kirk does really well. It just so happened we have some success in so many different areas on offense when it came to passing the football, whether it's been our drop back game, our quick game, or even running the football in any particular game that really necessarily didn't get to some of those calls. We have them, we got them. They've always been in our program. They always will be a part of our program. And it's something that we have definitely, I don't know where you got that stat from, but we've definitely neglected a little. You doing your self-scout?
Zeno called me, gave me all
It was in a what?
Zeno called me and gave me all
Who was that?
Zeno.
Oh, did he call you really? Oh, I was about to say that, Mark. But it's definitely something we can definitely add to our arsenal in order to make it better for us just across the board. Something we can definitely add to our arsenal. 2 points.
Getting healthier, important part of the bye week. Where are you guys at in that turn?
Don't know exactly. You want to see the guys come in, right? Obviously, they'll be in here a little bit later, but definitely healthier than we were the week before, the weeks prior. You get guys to get some of the bumps and bruises, rest and relaxation. That is definitely a plus. And then you'll definitely be able to get some of the guys back who've missed a significant amount of time for us and who was missing in our last game. So I'm really fired about where we're at and where we're going. You really don't, as a coach, you really don't like talking about injuries because it really doesn't matter because nobody cares except for you, Tori. And it's like, I got to get ready to play the game no matter what the results are and who they say is ready to go. So, like, I think the guys think that way too, but it's definitely nice to get guys rest and relaxation and be able to reload and reset.
Secondary communication, has it been what you wanted? Does it need to be better between those guys in the back end?
Hard to say when you were giving up the least amount of explosives. Now, we had a couple games there we kind of got lax in some of those things, but when you got Jesse and Justin, some of the things that they've really done, it's hard to say where it's been that way consistently. When you have some of the injuries of King and Grant going to a position he doesn't play, obviously you're going to have communication issues with some of the people that go in, but I don't want to get into the excuse making. So the last game, yes, and I think that's very correctable and very easy when you talk about guys getting full week of practices and going out there and doing what they do. It's not an issue of same page.
Right.
It's an issue of just repetition, and when sometimes you get caught in a situation where you got to put people in a little out of place that they weren't expecting.
Anything else?
Yeah, defensively on the self-scout, we talked to Caden right before leaving. He was like, hey, execution will get everything better.
Yeah, that's always the answer. That's a great answer for players when you got to talk to the media and you don't really want to say anything.
Right.
But that's always the truth, and that's always the case, right? Execution is always going to be in the way of getting better, right? But like I always give you a little more than I probably should, just because that's who I am. I like being out. This is my couch. I like to talk to you like I'm on my couch right now, Led. So I just kind of tell you everything. But like, definitely execution when it comes to what we want to do from a player standpoint. But like, there's always people that's involved. There's coaches that can help them. There's things that you've done well and repeating those things. There's things you did that you didn't do well that you can take out. There's always the learning curve. And the best form of an example is just look at our history of football, right? And how the game goes. And like, who are those top teams right now and what they do over the last 3 years and what it looked like in that path, and finding ways to make that path mimic that so we can become those teams, right? And that's how I always look at it, right? When you talk about the Detroit Lions, 3 years ago, where were they at on defense, offense, and special teams? And then how much better has it gotten to, like, they're arguably one of the best teams in NFL right now, like however you want to mark it, right? And just it is what it is. That's what their record says. That's how they play. When you watch them play and you get a chance to sit down and watch them play yesterday, you look at that team and you see the toughness, you see the execution, you see all the buzzwords that we consistently talk about in football, and that's what you're trying to build to.
And Lamb said MAs, and I figured out that meant missed assignment.
Yeah, missed assignments are usually personal. You usually don't have a bunch of those, but whenever you have one, that person, whoever had it, is always going to lean heavy into it. If I had a bunch of them, I would tell you, because that would be coaching. That would be me, right? That would be on myself. But like usually when you have one or two, the players usually harp on those things because they don't make them. They become rarities in your program. So when they do pop up, they become such things where you're just like, that can't happen.
And I know this is a Wednesday question, but go and watch them tonight. Saw them a late Sunday night game too. The Chargers. What are some of the issues they present with Coach Harbaugh and how they're trying to play this year?
Starts with Harbaugh, and it's always been that way, whether it's been the 1AA school he was the head coach of, to Michigan, to coaching Josh Johnson, to coming to the National Football League at the Niners. It's always been a certain amount of toughness that they play with on offense, defense, and special teams. That will never change. Great time to have a bye week to get ready to play one of the tougher teams, one of the tougher coaches, and one of the people that's going to be absolutely prepared to go and play the right physical brand of football that he's always presented when he goes out there and plays and coaches.
You mentioned explosive play rate defensively, and I wonder, do you consider that sort of your North Star in preparation? The reason I say that is, you could blitz more than you're blitzing now.
Sure.
But that comes with potentially a cost. So I wonder, as you sit down Sunday night, Monday, and the first thing we got to do is not give up explosive plays. Is that where it starts? It
didn't start there. You kind of based on what your team is, who you're playing. You got to look at all those things first, right? It's just how, Bill Belichick said it the best. Like, what's our way of winning this football game? And it starts there. Whatever that is, that's what you got to be ready to go do.
Thanks, y'all.
Taking a picture of me? What do you want?
Get in the wishbone.